You could see your breath at your desk, a little white cloud hanging in the air as you waited for the bell. On winter mornings in 1950s Britain, classrooms were cold enough to sting your fingers, frost edging the windows while coats stayed firmly on. Children slid into wooden desks, stamping feet softly, accepting the chill as part of the day. Today, with warm radiators humming before lessons begin, it's almost unthinkable. So how did learning carry on like this, day after day, without complaint? To understand that endurance, we have to step back into the colder world they knew. To understand those freezing mornings, we have to remember the Britain that existed after the war had ended. The country was rebuilding itself, brick by brick, pound by pound, and schools were rarely the first priority. Many classrooms were housed in Victorian buildings, tall-ceilinged and drafty, designed long before modern heating was expected. Keeping them warm was difficult, and resources were stretched thin everywhere. Fuel was carefully managed, and any warmth that did reach a classroom often came from a single source at the front, glowing faintly and doing little for the rows at the back. Teachers knew this, pupils knew it, and families accepted it as normal. Children were dressed for the weather, not the room, because everyone understood what awaited them. Today, we expect schools to feel comfortable before a lesson even begins. Back then, comfort was a bonus, not a promise. The cold that lingered in those classrooms reflected a nation still finding its feet, quietly adapting, and learning to make do with what it had. It shaped attitudes, patience, and resilience, forming a generation who rarely questioned discomfort. Because survival and progress mattered more than warmth, convenience, or complaint in everyday life and schooling across Britain, cold didn't stop the school day. It simply changed how everyone moved through it. Children arrived, layered in thick jumpers, scarves tucked tight, coats never quite leaving their shoulders. In many classrooms, nobody thought twice about learning dressed for the outdoors. You sat, you listened, and you kept as much warmth as you could. Hands disappeared under wooden desks, fingers curled together for comfort, while pencils scratched slowly across paper. Some children breathed gently onto their knuckles between sums, a quiet habit shared across the room. Teachers, just as cold, found their own ways to cope, pausing lessons to let everyone rub their hands or stand and stretch. There were routines too. Lining up close in corridors before lessons, shoulder to shoulder, brought a moment of shared warmth. Mornings often began with a mug carried carefully from home, cradled like treasure, offering brief relief before the day settled in. No one called these strategies clever at the time. They were simply common sense. Today, it's easy to forget how normal this all felt. Central heating has erased the need for such small acts of endurance. Yet for those who were there, these quiet adaptations remain deeply familiar, reminders of a childhood shaped by togetherness, practicality, and learning how to get on with things, even when conditions were far from comfortable. They became part of the rhythm of school life, unnoticed then, but remembered now with a mix of disbelief, warmth, and quiet respect for how everyone managed each winter morning. Despite the cold, lessons carried on as they always had. Exercise books were opened, pencils lifted, and neat handwriting was expected, even when fingers felt stiff and slow. You learned to grip tighter, to take your time, to finish the work set before the bell rang. Reciting tables aloud helped distract from the chill, voices filling the room with rhythm and routine. Teachers rarely commented on the temperature. Many had grown up during even harder years and saw this as manageable, almost mild by comparison. Their calm authority set the tone. If they could carry on, so could everyone else. There was no sense of struggle being remarkable. It was simply part of the day. What's striking now is how little fuss there was. Children didn't expect conditions to change for them. Instead, they adjusted themselves. That quiet adaptability became a lesson of its own, taught without words. Effort mattered. Complaints achieved little. You focused, you endured, and you finished your work. Today, we talk openly about comfort and support in learning spaces, and rightly so. Yet those cold classrooms shaped a generation who learned early that progress sometimes came with discomfort, not as a hardship to dwell on, but as something to work through. It forged patience, determination, and a belief that effort counted regardless of circumstances. As those children grew older, that mindset followed them, influencing how they approached challenges far beyond the school gates, long after the cold mornings were left behind forever. What that cold quietly gave them wasn't hardship to boast about, but something steadier and deeper. Shared discomfort created a sense of togetherness that's hard to recreate now. Everyone was in it together, from the smallest child to the teacher at the front, and that mattered. There was pride, but it was unspoken. You didn't dwell on how cold it was. You remembered how you managed the laughter over red fingers, the small kindness of sharing warmth, the understanding that everyone had their part to play. Those moments built resilience without naming it. Today, warmth arrives at the turn of a switch. Back then, strength grew slowly, shaped by routine and community. That quiet ability to get on with things, learned early in life, stayed with many people for decades, becoming part of how they faced work, family, and change, long after the classroom windows finally stopped frosting over entirely. Today's classrooms are warm before the first child arrives, steady and comfortable in ways once unimaginable. It's progress, and it matters. Yet looking back, it's hard not to wonder if something subtle has shifted to not lost, exactly, but changed. The cold classrooms of the past demanded patience, adaptability, and togetherness. Modern schools offer care in different ways. Both tell a story of their time, reminding us how far we've come and how deeply those early experiences still shape who we are today. For more of these unbelievable memories, tap the video on your screen. The 1970s stories are something else. Don't forget to subscribe.